Orlamar here with a Grand Arena 3v3 update video. A lot of people are kind of wondering what to do for 3v3. It's been a while since we've had it, so I thought I'd make a quick video of what I'm doing to prepare for it. It's coming up pretty soon, a few hours, 12 hours probably, when the attack phase starts. But so we'll take a look at the teams I've made. So I've got my Darth Revan with Bastila and Malik. Pretty straightforward team, and I think it's one of the top teams in 3v3. A lot better than GAC teams for the most part. It's really a hard team to counter without a mirror match, and a faster mirror match at that. One of the best ways to counter it is going to be to use multiple squads. In 3v3, you have to realize is less about efficiency and more about getting a full clear. So if you come up against this team, it's kind of a win if you can clear it, no matter how long it takes you to clear it or how many tries. So one of the things that I like to use against this squad is a burner team, so bring in some low-level characters, and so you bring in 3 low-level characters, and Darth Revan does his AoE Fear on the leader, and then Bastila does her Fear and spreads all her debuffs, and then Malik does his Shock, and then Darth Revan does his AoE Lightning and wipes out your whole squad. So it feeds them all turn meter, but that doesn't really matter because they were all faster than any of your squad was anyway. So they were going to go first anyway. And then, but you know that they don't have those abilities available right away anymore either. So then that frees you up to take in a team like, let's see, where was it? My CLS team. So you can take in CLS, Han, and Chewie, and then focus down Bastila, and do that. You focus on her stun. The stun's not going to last, but you can take a couple hits at her and knock her out. And then if you can survive a little bit longer, you can try to take out Darth Revan too. It's not always going to be the case because Chewie's not going to assist and Han's not going to shoot twice on Darth Revan, but you can do the best you can with that. If you can get them both down, great, then you've just got Malik. If you can't, then if you've got both of them, you might be able to take them out with like a Jedi Knight Revan squad or something of that matter. So it's pretty cost effective, or it's a pretty costly counter, but the key here is to be able to get through it without being stopped on a front wall of a team. If you've got just Malik, you can take in a weaker team. Characters like, let's see, Kylo Ren Unmasked is great against him when he doesn't have Darth Revan there. So Darth Revan allows Malik to dispel stuns, but if the leadership of it is not there from Darth Revan, Kylo Ren Unmasked has his 2-turn stun to control Malik, and then you can use like Kylo Ren because he's got heal immunity on basic, and then Thrawn is a good one because he's got Fracture to keep it under control even more. So lots of options to take it out, but a lot of people don't know them, so it's a very good defensive team early on as well. We'll move on as I've talked too long about that, but Jedi Knight Revan I've put with Grandmaster Yoda, and a lot of times I'll be putting Jolee with them because that's going to be a much stronger team as well. That's a really hard team to get through. When you've only got 3 characters to try to chew through Jolee like that, and then you have to chew through him twice, it just kind of gets tough. A lot of people, if you want to counter that team, you should chew through the weakest character, which in this case is Jedi Knight Revan, and then go through Jolee. But still a really hard team to beat, and if you don't get through it on one, a lot of times you're still gonna have all 3 of those characters, and you're gonna make no progress in that way. Padme, I've put 2 different iterations of it. This one with Ahsoka, and then this one with GK. This one's going to be the best one with GK for defense. but I did this one as well because I wanted to use this next team, which is a great timeout defensive team, or I'm hoping it is, which is GK with Joe Lee and Hermit Yoda. So a lot of people don't realize how good General Kenobi's lead actually is because they never use it, but Jedi and clone allies have plus 30% max health and plus 70% defense. And then every time somebody uses a group healing ability, all of these characters will assist. With Jolie's health recovery on his basic, and the retribution that General Kenobi can grant, and Hermit Yoda's healing abilities and assist calls and all of that stuff, I'm expecting this team to be pretty tough to get through without using a meta team. So I might try that a few times. Then I've got pretty straightforward CLS team. I wouldn't break that up, but it's a lot stronger in 3v3 than it is 5v5. That's basically the team I use 3v5 anyway. Bastila with Ezra. If I'm not using this timeout team, I'll throw Hermit Yoda in that team, and give Ezra the Master's Training buff. And I use that 3v5 all the time as well. Bounty Hunters are a lot better 3v3. Bosk with Boba and Jango. Basically 2/3 of that team can ignore taunt and has Bounty Hunter's Resolve to be able to revive once. So that's a pretty strong team. I split my Night Sisters, so Talzin with Daka and Talia will be used to kill Geos anywhere up to gear 11 with a few gear 12. If they're all gear 12 or higher, I'll probably end up using something a little bit stronger like a CLS or Jedi Knight Revan against them, because Geos are pretty strong. Having 4 characters against 3 characters, it's pretty tough to get through them sometimes, but these Night Sisters have proven that they can do it in the past, so as long as they're not too well geared with Geos. Then I split up my Separatists with Asajj and Zombie, so I've got Dooku in there. I'm not really sure if I'm going to keep this configuration or if I'll switch it up a little bit. But then I've also got this Newt team with Magna Guard and V1. So the thought there is Newt can spread his extortion, Magna Guard will taunt. He's gear 10 now. I've been working on trying to get him up to gear 12 here in my slow chase of gas. But I did throw a bunch of protection mods on him, so he's gear 10, but I got an extra 30,000 protection on him, so hopefully he'll be able to survive a little bit when he's taunting all the time, and then V1 will be able to heal him up while Luke gets that extortion out. So I'll probably use that for offense just because I trust myself more with it, but it could be a really good banner stealer on defense as well. Then we've got Emperor Palpatine with Vader and Thrawn. I might split off Thrawn to use with other teams in different counters because he's really useful plug and play 3v3, especially controlling somebody like Malak or Padme or any of those teams. But for now, we'll just keep him with EP. Vader's pretty fast. We'll get, I think, 40 bonus speed, so less bonus speed than a 5v5 comp, but still he'll be at like 260, so that'll be plenty fast for the teams that this team would face to get the Palpatine turn meter train rolling. Karth Old Republic team, a lot stronger 3v3 again. So you see teams like Palpatine is weaker 3v3, Karth is stronger 3v3, especially when you've got those Zetas, because they'll just constantly be assisting and putting dots on the opponents. And then Zalbar's taunt is harder to get through with only 3 characters on the other side. So Traya, Scion, Nihilus, pretty straightforward triumvirate, undergeared for me, but I threw some mods on Nihilus so that I could use them. This might be useful for getting through some of those timeout teams, like the one I talked about earlier with GK and Jolie and Hermit Yoda, just because they annihilate. So if this team were a little bit better geared, let's say gear 10, I would trust them to take out that relic timeout team just because GK and Jolie don't do much damage, and then I can just wait for the Annihilate to come up 3 times and just take them all out. But Geos, my Geos are way under geared, and my Geobrood Alpha is only 5 stars with no Zetas. So my ideal composition would be Geobrood Alpha with Spy and Soldier. Spy for the damage, Soldier for the turn meter mechanic. But my Soldier is under geared as well, and Poggle is my only one that's decently geared at gear 11. So I thought I'll just throw him in here for now. I might switch it up anyway and put my gear 8 Soldier in there because it might just be better overall. And modding is really important for Geos, but that's another video. Then I've got this Kira team. Kira, you can see my only gear 6 that I use ever, and that's because I've only upgraded her to get her to 6500 GP, just so I could use her in territory wars with my Nest, and then I maxed out her leader ability. Gives some good scoundrel synergy. It allows Nest to recover protection as well as her own health, so I don't have to worry about her dying as much, because my Nest is only gear 11 and 6 stars. I don't even have her fully modded, but then I threw in Canderous just because I wasn't using him anywhere else as well. So if I want to throw this on defense, I will have a gear 12 damage dealer in there as well, who is also a scoundrel who gets benefits from Kira's lead. This Hera team is a better timeout team than most people realize, with Kanan and Chopper passing taunts back and forth, and then Hera using her revive mechanic on them. It's a lot harder to get through than most people realize, so they take in weaker teams, and I remember this team got me quite a few holds, surprisingly, last 3v3 season. Then we've got this Akbar team with Leia and C-3PO. Akbar's lead allows them to assist when they use a non-attack ability. Akbar's got 2 of those abilities, 1, 2. Leia's got 1, and then C-3PO, both of his abilities are non-attack abilities. And then on C-3PO's Cyborg Relations ability, it says that whenever a rebel uses their basic ability, they inflict expose on the opponent. So the theory here is that you can, Leia will stealth, and C-3PO will stealth, and if they can get any abilities off, because this team is pretty weak, but then they'll just be exposing the enemy and taking off 20% health damage. So while these characters won't do any damage, hopefully those exposes will do some damage and steal some banners, maybe even get a hold if they take in too weak of a team against it. Then we get into some weaker teams. Ewoks, well, that was already a weaker team, but Ewoks with Chirpa as the leader. Elder needs to be in there, and then I put in Logray. I could have put in Wicket, but I like Logray for defensive purposes just because his daze is kind of helpful. But Ewoks aren't going to be really viable 3v3. They're going to be quite a bit worse than in 5v5. This First Order team, pretty weak for me still, but could be useful in cleaning up teams like a Lone Malik. Old Ben I'll probably use with Jedi Knight Revan every once in a while. Maybe I've got R2 that I'm not using anywhere else, and then Biggs. So I put this team together just because Biggs can benefit from the Old Ben lead with evasion. They've got a pretty good synergy there. Again, not a really strong team, but got an HK was left over, so I decided to throw him with B2 and BB8, also leftovers, but they're all droids, so they'll get some extra turn meter to start from BB8, and then B2 inflicts some debuffs, and the tenacity down from HK. Hopefully that could be kind of a cool team, actually. And then Junk Bounty Hunters, Junk Stormtrooper Han, and Junk Jedi rounded out. And those are teams that are actually kind of crucial for me, because for some of my opponents, my plan will be to try to just stop them in the front wall with my defense and make sure, and then I can make sure they don't get to my back wall, and then I can throw junk in the back. So we'll see how that looks, because my opponent this time was actually perfect for this. I'll take a look at his roster, see what he runs. He's got a CLS team that he runs in Arena, not many relics. I like to sort by speed, see his fastest character is CLS, 258, not too fast. I think my own CLS is a little bit faster than that. Boss 218, okay. So not crazy speeds at all. So then I figure I'm pretty safe to put my Darth Revan on bottom and hope that he doesn't get through it. And then I've put this machine gun Leia team on bottom just because I want to see him get through it and see how it holds up. And then I was able to put 4 of these junk teams that I was talking about in the bottom or in the back zone, because while I'm sure he could one-shot those if he can get to them, I don't think he's going to get to them. This time I wanted to try this timeout team with the GK, Jolie, and Hermit Yoda to see how that does. And then I put Geos and Old Republic up there, again, in solid defensive teams, even though they're low GP. And then Thrawn with my Bosk and Galactic Republic. So if you've got any comments, just let me know. I'd like to improve on my GAC teams, but I hope this helps with planning for 3v3.